Yeah. Welcome to OreAni 2022 summer lineup. Yay! This is our 10th year doing this. I think actually more than that.
Oh my God, you're right.
Wow.
Yeah, like Google Plus would have been like 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Google
Wow.
Plus, what's that?
So it's been fun. I actually went back and watched some videos and just remembered a few of our friends like Tripley and
Oh yeah.
Nick. So
Yeah, too bad what happened
Rest
to
in peace, Nick.
Yeah.
So, but I see he's still chatting with us in the forum or the Discord thing. So that's been cool.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go ahead and introduce everyone. We got Dragon with us. I'm going to probably make him an avatar since he's with us so much now.
Hello again.
So he doesn't have to be a monolith.
It's okay. I can be in monolith.
We have Jessica.
Hi there.
We got Sean back with us.
I'm mostly here to, I don't know, hang out and listen, spectate. I watched about one thing and it's not that interesting.
We also have Vinny, who's going to show up later. Forgot about him. And then we have Albert.
Hello.
And of course, I'm always here. Sorry, guys. But let's go ahead and... The season has a lot of titles. I was surprised. There's 55 plus titles?
Had some ridiculous amount.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when we only had 12 shows for the whole season. Things have changed so much. It's getting hard to keep track with everything.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go ahead and start us off on a good note. And by good note, I mean one of the few that aren't isekais, which is Engage Kiss. So let's see here. Dragon, myself, and Vinny have been watching this. Engage Kiss, I think, was actually the first show I saw this season, and I don't know how to explain it. It's just so bizarre. But it wasn't until the second episode that they or was it third? The third that they kind of give us a little more information on the relationship between the main character and his contractor. That kind of livened everything up. So that's going to be great to learn more about that and how it's going. But Engage Kiss, I guess in this world, there's are they on a separate island, right?
I'm reading the synopsis as we speak. So it's on some island that does not belong to any nation, says the synopsis.
So it kind of reminds me of that. What was that one show with the vampire?
Strike the Blood?
Yeah, Strike the Blood, in that sense. But,
And the city exists to mine some sort of energy resource, some sort of magic energy.
Yeah, they get these crystals. I'm not 100% sure on all of that. I know that they use the crystals to harness new energy, and that they're trying to develop the technology there so that they can use these crystals to supply energy to the world. But right now it's being kept a secret. So there's a lot of things that are going on with people trying to get into them, and then they use these kind of I don't know how to explain them. They kind of transform people into these monsters. I think they call them DAs. And they end up causing a lot of wreckage and havoc, and not anyone can just fight them off. There's only a certain groups out there that I guess who have been trained and know how to defeat them. And so the show's about following, I guess, this guy who's broken off of one of the clans and has made his own, and he's has his own agenda for going through this. But this guy is totally worthless. He has basically no money. His house has no electricity most of the time. Just he relies on his contractor to basically for almost everything, and he even has to go to this other clan that he used to work with to always get their help. But overall, It's not that bad of a show, but it has some underlying things that are kind of interesting that I'm kind of invested into watching. Anyone else want to say anything about the show? Or
I just remember like the first episode being kind of like a roller coaster of like what to expect, because like I remember like the beginning where like the MC and his like contractor were like kind of, it was like, what kind of direction is this show going to take place? Because the beginning was one way, and then when you watch throughout, it's like, wait, now it's going in a different way. So it was kind of like unexpected for me, but yeah.
but I kind of want to learn that. I think that's the biggest thing that's got me interested is Kisara and how she became who she is, or what is she really.
Mm.
I mean, we've gotten some more hints into it and stuff, but this, like, I guess kind of, I want to say love triangle, that thing that's going on with Shu, Ayano, and Kisara is also somewhat interesting, especially how Kisara acts. Kisara is like this yandere character also in this show, which is kind of freaky at points. So seeing her with those dead eyes and stuff at certain moments is kind of fun and interesting, but the show, I think, is entertaining enough with the action scenes and everything for a typical shonen show, but I don't know, just it's kind of all over the place right now. So hopefully it lines itself up. But it's only 4 episodes in, I believe, right?
I think it's, is it 4 or 3?
I think it's
I think it's still 3 right now. Unless the 4th one already came out, but
let's go ahead and go to the next title, which so happens to be this one, which everyone was really excited for, right?
I was definitely excited for this one.
Hataraku Mao
Yeah.
Sama.
Or the devil is a part-timer.
Did they just add an extra exclamation point? Is that how they did it for season 2?
They didn't add enough.
I think we just barely got the 2nd episode, right? On this one?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was thinking about watching this, and then I heard everyone saying it's kind of bad. So they changed character designs or something, and
The animation is, or like the art, yeah, the animation style is, or like the animation art is different from the original, like the first season.
I mean, everyone is different. The entire crew, the studio is different, the director is different, the character designer is different. So the only consistency is that it's based off the same story, continuing the same story.
aren't the voice
Hasn't
actors?
it been? It's been more than 5 years since the first season, right?
It's been 8
Oh, yeah, it's
years.
been-
8 years, yeah. It's
Yeah.
been a very long time. I've read 20 of the 21 light novels.
Oh,
And I
nice.
really, really like the light novels. I highly recommend those for anyone that's into that kind of literature.
Hmm.
But this one, Albert and I were chatting about it a little bit on the Discord about how the character models don't look right. They're not making eye contact with other characters in the same scene. Their sight lines are off by just a little bit. And everyone kind of looks dead. That life spark that a lot of anime characters have in their eyes is missing from these guys. It sounds a little vague because you have to watch it to really get what's wrong with the animation and character artwork.
So
Yeah, I think it was Vinny that pointed out that the color palette is also washed out compared
Oh.
to season 1. So it also looks flatter, which is kind of the modern trend, I guess, but it does not look great.
So I guess I have a question, Jessica. Since you've read the light novels, is the story kind of following along the same way as the light novels, or?
Pretty much, yeah. We only have the first 2 episodes, but from what I remember, because I read Volume 3, which is what this season seems to be adapting, many years ago when it first came out, so my memory's a little hazy, but they've got the main points pretty good.
Wait, this is
In
only
terms of-
volume 3 out of 20?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my god, what happens in this show?
yeah. It goes places. It definitely goes places. And it's not one where I would say, you know how a lot of light novels have kind of a nadir where they tend to be not that great at some point because they're just spinning the wheels of the story and not making progress. That doesn't really happen with this series. I feel like the author knows what he wants to do and is very much about implementing that. I recommend the light novels. Go and read the light novels, I guess.
Is it still continuing on, or is it finished, or?
It's finished. Volume 21 is the last one. I have that sitting on my shelf, and I'm gonna read it soon.
Ooh.
So would you say just only thing bad with this is just the visuals, or?
Yes, because the voice acting's pretty good. They seem to inhabit the characters well and bring a lot of fun to it, because ultimately that's what the story is about. It's just how to be an adult. The manual is what the story is. So usually each story arc follows something that a young adult would have to deal with. In this season, it's obviously becoming a parent and having a baby. So, and then there's others where you get your job and you get your driver's license and you apply to college. You know, that kind of thing is what the story is a metaphor for. And then there's, demons and superpowers and a love triangle and all that stuff, because anime.
So Hatarakamau. Not everyone's happy with it, I guess.
No.
I'm not going to say I'm not totally displeased, because I know sometimes when they make certain faces, I'm like, oh, that's not how it should look. But overall, I think it's acceptable just to get through the story. Because it's...
Yeah, the weird expressions that they have the characters make, I'm willing to give that a pass, even though I don't personally care for it, because it's an artistic choice that they made to do. But it's competent, whereas the missing sight lines and off-model characters, that's not a real decision. That was a mistake. That's where I have an issue with the series as a whole. But who all is going to continue it? I'm kind of on the fence as to whether or not I'm going to keep watching.
I think...
I'm probably gonna continue it just because, like, I just want to, like, kind of go and see it through, since I enjoyed the first season so much.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's kind of just been, like, this whole culmination of, like, years, and it's like, wow, like, we actually got a season 2 of the show. So it's like, I kind of just want to finish through. But, yeah.
I'll probably continue watching it and probably pick up the light novels. Who is it by? Seven Seas, or is it like...
Yen Press.
Oh, them, okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I do kind of know what's going to happen because I read some of the manga. So, I do kind of know what's to expect for a few more episodes. But as far as... I didn't even know they had a light novel, I would say. But, yeah, that's Hatarakamau. our surprise reverse isekai, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely one of those shows. If you see it, you definitely have to go back and watch the first season. It's not something you can just pick up and go straight into. So if you're new to the Hataraka Mao series, definitely go to season 1 and then be disappointed with the models in season 2. Next up is a nice, I guess I kind of want to say it's a fantasy show, right? The Lucifer and Biscuit Hammer. And
I guess it could be kind of like fantasy, yeah.
Jessica, I would recommend you pick this up if you have any chance, because this one is one of my all-time favorite mangas that I read back in the day.
Oh, okay.
And the anime is actually doing a pretty decent job of following through with the story.
I mean, did this have a previous season or something? Because it does seem familiar to me.
It does
Yeah,
not have a
it's,
previous season.
You told me, Jessica, when we discussed Planet With, that you did not like Lucifer and Biscuit Hammer. You've read part of the manga and that you really disliked it.
Wow, I have no memory of this.
And
But
this is why I told you that. Yeah, this is why I'm saying you won't like it. And so far, I mean, I enjoyed the 10 volumes of the manga, but I thought it was really well done, and I find the author, Mizukami, what's his last? Hold on. Satoshi. Right? Mizukami Satoshi's works to be quite interesting. And I highly, highly recommended Planet With, which was a one season, anime a couple years ago, like 5-6 years ago, and I thought it was really well done. And the author kind of wrote the original story and was heavily involved with the series composition, and they went places and tied up things in a really spectacular way. So coming from that, they announced this, with this a fan favorite for many years. The anime gets adapted. I see the preview, and then my enthusiasm, cools, because the preview did not look good. And then I watched episode 1, and sure enough, nothing had really improved from that preview release, and I feel like the animation is subpar. There's a lot of.
I mean, I can see it. I can see that it's subpar. Like looking at this trailer.
Yeah. So that you would think would improve, but no, that is exactly what it is. There are reused shots that happen, that kind of bland palette, the weird computer graphics or near static shots of the what the hell do they call them? They call them doroningyo, which is mud puppet. I think they use a different word in English. Their opponents that show up, they just look like really, badly animated things from 20 years ago that they stuck in this modern show. Now, story-wise, it is following faithfully on the manga, although at the pace they're going, I have no idea how many episodes this is supposed to go. So, let me actually check. No, it does not have a.
The thing about animation quality is it never improves. It only gets worse. Like if it can't deliver in the first episode, then it's never going to.
Yeah, that's is my main concern, because your premiere show, and especially in like the first 2 to 3 episodes, you really need to grab your audience with something different, right? Something spectacular. And this from episode 1 is a huge disappointment in the animation department. So I've decided to drop it after watching the 2 episodes.
What the heck is a biscuit hammer? Is that actually a type of hammer?
It will be explained later. Yeah, but that does actually show up as an object and a word in the series.
Okay.
But yeah, it has It has nothing to do with the Japanese title, which I don't actually know how the English title came about. I should look that up. But it's kind of a fantasy-esque story set in modern Japan, right? Yeah, you guys who liked it can talk about it, but to me, it was a huge, huge disappointment. I don't see it improving, and I'd rather read the manga again. So that's what I'm doing.
I see. I'm enjoying a lot. As far as animation, I don't think I was into the show for the animation. It just the story and how it plays out. I think was the biggest thing. And I'm watching it with a group of friends. It's actually a very fun show. We have a lot of moments where we laugh all together and just enjoy what's going on. So, I guess if we're trying to be analytical with it, I guess it's a little lower. But I think it's a really great show for a group of friends to just watch and have fun with it. Because the story, like you said, is really faithful to the manga from what I remember. There's some differences in what I remember as far as dialogue, because I think it's just translation issues from back in the day from scanlators, right? So, but overall, I'm actually really enjoying this show, and it's been fun to me with my group of friends watching it. What about you, Vinny? Welcome to the channel.
Thank you. Okay. Lucifer Biscuit Hammer. I have to go with Albert in many things, especially the quality of the animation. It's one thing to be on a low budget side, but it's whole another thing to just show so much of sharpness to it. And I kind of griped about with Ascendance of a Bookworm 2 as far as animation quality kind of bringing down the whole series. But this pretty much doubles up on that. It's just that, yeah, there's a comedy, its premise is really strange, and it kind of is interesting to watch it, but it's almost like watching a train wreck to see how worse it's going to get from here on. I mean, the first episode, premiere episode usually has the best quality there is, and that was very middling to begin with. I just generally have a problem with the way characters are handled. So in one frame they look fine, then off angle they look kind of out of sync, out of sorts. Then there's kind of a general laziness with the backdrops, and the whole animation seems to be kind of blending in between 3D CGIs and the hand-drawn motion that kind of doesn't really mesh well. It's, if you want to go by the storyline and the wackiness to it, that's fine. It's kind of, it's, you know, something you can watch, something you can laugh about it. But to actually spend time investing in trying to watch the whole series, I think a lot of people who's not fan of the series is going to have a hard time staying throughout the whole series, never mind first 3 episodes. And then ones who actually read the manga and liked it enough, like you, many of them is gonna have a problem with how terrible it looks through and through. It's almost like it's turning into meme worthy at this point. So it's almost like if somebody's watching it, I'll watch it with it. But for me to actually sit through and watch by myself or recommend anybody else, I don't think I can. I'll probably say, try to read a manga and see if it's actually worth your time to actually spend on animation. I just can't. I can't recommend it.
Maybe it's just my biasm, I guess, because I haven't noticed any. I didn't really think anything about the animation. It makes me want to go back and watch and see how you guys are looking at it. Cause I don't know why. To me, it actually seemed like it was pretty good. So maybe I'm just not looking at it properly. Maybe I'm looking at it with
I
this.
think you need to get your eyesight checked, man.
Maybe. Because I don't know. I just when I hear you guys talk, I'm like, did that really? Is it really that bad? I didn't. What? Really? I didn't think it was. Now I got to go back and check. I'm kind of doubting what I saw.
So I'm trying to find out how many episodes this is scheduled for, and I can't find it, which has me really worried because the first 2 episodes, is still like only the first half of volume 1, and the cast of character, greatly increases. The complexity of the story greatly increases, and there's 10 volumes of the manga. And I don't see that being covered in even 2 cores, which has me really worried for fans like yourself that studio, I think it's NAS is not going to be able to cover it before they finish. So NAS is relatively new. The last thing they did is they did do Id Invaded, which was interesting enough. Infinite Endogram, which was not good. Yeah, Anglemore, My First Gal, Dramatical Murder. Some of these are outstanding. Okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens. You guys, you can report on it, but I'm having fun rereading manga. I'm on volume 5, I think. So, halfway there.
All right. Now let's go to our next isekai, obviously with its title. Isekai Meikyu de Harem, which is the censored anime on Crunchyroll right now. Not much to say about this. I mean, this is just another typical isekai with harem. But these girls are pretty well endowed, and it's not being shy with, especially in the uncensored version, with what they're showing you. I haven't seen the censored version yet, but from a screenshot I saw Albert post, at least it's not like changing whole scenes like we do Healer. But I don't know if that's for the whole episode. So, did you happen to watch both of them the whole episode, Albert, and see if there was any other big differences, or just those certain scenes with like characters covering up certain parts?
Yeah, it's basically just the sexy parts that are covered up. And then episode 2 and 3, there's nothing to cover up because there's none of that. So, not sure. They probably could have just waited for a Blu-ray, but I guess there's like the uncensored, the censored, and then there's like a medium censored or something. I'm not sure. I heard there were 3 different versions. But, yeah, if you're looking for things, the uncensored, look for ATX versions. But I made a joke that, instead of calling it Harem and the Labyrinth of Another World, it should be Slave Harem and the Labyrinth of Another World, because all the girls are his slaves. And this is one of those weird things where I'm surprised, it hasn't blown up like when, I don't know, a couple other shows with slavery, like Shield Hero first happened. And this is also one of those isekais where he's trapped in a game-like world, not just pure fantasy. So, protagonist wakes up in the barn, in a starter town, and he's like, oh, what the heck happened? Oh, I guess I was trying to play this game, and I guess it's real, virtual dive, even though I didn't have the equipment for it. So he goes along with it, finds his equipment. He doesn't have shoes because he didn't specify it. Steals a pair of sandals that were laying around, and now he's a thief. And then he goes outside and sees that the village is being attacked by bandits. And he's like, oh, this must be the starter event, so I'm going to go chop some heads off, which he does. And then it's pretty graphic. He cuts people's heads off. There's a huge amount of blood splatter. He cuts people's hands off. And then covered in gore. It's like, oh, wow, this game has a lot of gore in it. And then later on, the villagers thank him for saving their village. He goes to try to clean up, and he's like, "Oh man, I should just log out." And he can't log out. It's like end game. He can't end the game, and he realizes, "Oh no, I'm in the game." And then he has this realization: "Oh, I must have killed those people. They're not NPCs. They're people. I'm in the game world. I killed people. Oh well." And that's the entirety of his moral dilemma, I guess. And then later on, he learns that one of the villagers acts as the person who saved them. He's entitled to the bandit's equipment. Apparently, weird, but and he finds that one of the bandit's equipment, this bandana that's supposed to give you thieving abilities, is missing. And the villagers find out one of the villagers has stolen it, and as punishment for that, he's like, yeah, I leave it up to you guys because I don't know what your village does. And the village chief is like, okay, we'll have to sell him into slavery. And it was like, what? That's a punishment for stealing, selling your fellow villager into slavery? Okay, weird. They go to the town, the big city that's closest, and as part they go to the slave trader and they sell the villager. And as part of that, the slave trader, what's his name, Alan, older gentleman, so a spiffy looking dandy, and he's like, why don't you come back? I'd like to have a word with you later. Gee, I wonder what that talk is about. Have you thought about acquiring a slave, Mr. Adventurer? And he's like, slave? You mean I can own a slave? Really? Should I be doing that? Oh well, I guess I can because everyone does it here. That is the extent of his moral dilemma. So he wants to acquire this one sexy beast girl, Roxanne, and he needs to earn money for it. So he's going to go into the dungeon and try to earn money for her so he can buy her. Yeah, that is kind of the extent of episode 1. And episode 2, he goes to the dungeon. And then there is a whole bunch of game mechanics stuff, which is freaking boring to me, but I guess it's interesting to some people as he tries to figure out, oh, if I do this happens. If I have a special ability because he's an OP character, I can use this warp ability to teleport places where most people can't go between on the outside and the dungeon. You can only teleport inside the dungeon, or you can only teleport outside the dungeon, right? He doesn't have that restriction. So he finds out about these things, and if he loses mana points, magic points, he starts to feel really, really bad and depressed and all kinds of negative feelings. He figures this out, so he's trying to increase his magic pool. He's trying to increase his levels. He finds out he can have a secondary job class and tertiary job class, so he starts trying to level those. Grind. Okay. So the problem I have with this show is, again, the moral dilemma seems really just glossed over. It's also kind of boring. The game mechanics part is boring. And, if you're going to watch an ecchi show, you want some ecchi moments. And episode 2 and 3, practically zero ecchi moments. So,
Well, 3 had a little more, I would say, because of the red light district scene, and then he also had a dream.
sure, I'm not sure if those were censored or uncensored or not. I don't think there was enough there to censor.
But
And they skipped over some things compared to the manga. Now, the thing I will tell you is that the manga has like eight volumes. Girl number 2 doesn't show up until volume 6. So I have there's no way this show can have all the other girls that you see in the opening and then flash forward scenes show up during this core. There's just no way. So that's why they're doing this flash forward to kind of tantalize you that, oh, there's all these other girls, the harem girls that you might be interested in. But in reality, you'll get to girl number 2, and that's probably gonna be it. So just trying to temper your expectations.
Yeah.
That
episode 2 flash forward was so strange to me.
Again, I think it's just put in there so you can have a little scene with the other girls, and some of these newer, voice actors can get some practice then, because otherwise they're not gonna be in it at all.
But I will mention this. I read the web novel this way back in the day, even before I knew there was a manga. And they actually called the web novel Slave Harem in the translation. So, how they changed it to this one, I don't know why, but when I first heard the new title, I was like, wait, I remember this being Slave Harem. How come it's this title now? So it was kind of weird, but other than that, oh my god, in the web novel, the grinding part and him learning mechanics was so long.
It's really long,
Oh.
and it's really long in the manga
too.
also.
Very tedious too. That's the only
Yeah.
thing I didn't like
Uh-huh.
about it, but other than that, I mean, I'm probably going to still watch it. I mean, it has some good character designs, especially with Roxanne. I like her. She's a good character. But they
Hank likes them thick. You
Yeah.
heard it here.
Michio, or the main character, he did show a little more. I think what he did to the bandits he did show a little more emotion and more thought about what was going on in episode 3 than he did in episode 1, definitely. But we'll have to see how things go. And I have to say, Alan is an excellent person in the ending credits.
Oh yeah, he kind of has the. I guess that's a rap. I guess he's rapping.
I just found it
yeah.
hilarious with him in there. But with episode, I think 3, he now has Roxanne, so we'll see how it goes. And I think it's probably going to be like maybe 2 episodes, I think, there with him and her by themselves, and then maybe they'll get the third person. I guess it depends on how far they go with the grinding scenes, because that's usually what takes up most of it.
Yeah, there's that, and then they go to a different dungeon, right? So there's that whole thing and setting up the house, blah blah blah. So I don't know.
We'll see. But I think from here on out, it's probably going to be a little more etchier than what we've seen. But how far it goes, we don't know.
I guess we'll find out.
This title I haven't seen any of, because when I saw it on Netflix, it said that it didn't come out until the 20th.
Yeah, it just got noticed that it dropped. So I don't know if it dropped or actually if it's simulcast.
Yeah, so I'm wondering
I
if it's
haven't
just
been.
I'm wondering if it's just like one episode right now, or if it dropped more than that. But from what I saw, I think there's already 2 episodes out, right? Or when I was looking at the anime list.
Yes. Yes, I think so.
So has anyone actually seen this though? Like, I guess Dragon and Albert?
Yeah.
Seen what?
Isekai Oji-san?
Yes.
Well,
I've been watching Isekai Oji-san.
It's Oji-san. Don't lengthen. Oji-san is grandfather. Oji-san is uncle.
Okay.
I know it's confusing, but the I should be a short I.
But yeah, I've been trying to keep up with this, and I've been enjoying it a lot. It's been really funny. And
It's
enjoyable.
hilarious.
Yeah.
So this is one of those, reverse isekai, I guess. It's return from isekai, right? So his
get isekai, but then he comes back to the real world, but he
Right.
has all his powers that are all his knowledge from the
Right.
isekai and is able to use all the powers from it.
Also, he wasn't really gone. I guess his mental was gone. He was in a coma for like what was it, 10 years? No, 17? I think it was like 17 years. Yeah, 17 years. The uncle was in the coma. He wakes up, starts speaking gibberish to his nephew, and then he's like, oh, I'm supposed to speak Japanese. And he's like, what the heck? And then the nephew slowly starts to realize that his uncle actually, is not fantasizing about being in a different world. He actually was there and can use powers, but his uncle was an otaku, right? A total game nerd, and especially Sega. So Sega lost the console wars, and so he's completely depressed about that. And all this talk about, oh, my first love was Tails from Sonic. You're like, what? So it's a completely bizarre premise. It's actually hilarious because through the slow reveal, the uncle had no social skills, and so even when he was in the other world, his lack of social skills led him to make a complete misunderstanding of situation, and he would do things that most protagonists would not do, right? And so he created a lot of the problems for himself, but he didn't see it as that. And he still doesn't, because he can mentally project his memories onto a viewing screen. And that's how his nephew and some other people start to watch his life events in the other world. And they're hilarious. It's just hilarious. And I'm going to tell you that the voice cast, now, the animation is okay. It's not great. It's okay.
Me
However,
to get into the animation at first, but like over time, it's kind of growing on me. It's one of those like you have to just like kind of give it some time. And it's like, okay, I can get used to it in a bit.
yeah, exactly, right? And then the voice cast, I just mentioned the voice cast, right? Because the Oji-san, the uncle, is played by Takehito Koyasu. The nephew, Takafumi, is played by Jun Fukuyama, right? And then the three main girls, I guess, in the other world, the elf, the tsundere elf, okay, even though her character name is Elf, she has an actual name, but in all the cast list, she's referred to as the tsundere elf, right? It's Haruka Tomatsu, who is most famous for playing Asuna in Sword Art Online. There's the ice descendant of the ice, blah blah blah, Mabel. Mabel was played by Aoi Yuki, who most recently is most famous for I'm a Spider, So What, right? And there will be another party member, a different party that he meets. The girl, the priestess, is Alicia, and that's played by Aki Toyosaki, probably most famous for being the voice of Yui from K-On! So stellar voice cast, and they all seem to be having fun. And I've been reading the mangas. I think there's 10 volumes out now. It might be off by a volume or two, but it just keeps going, and it's hilarious, and it's also painful to watch at times or read at times because of the uncle just not getting things. He would do dumb stuff that most normal people would not do, like give a ring to a girl, right? And of course, there's a huge misunderstanding about giving a ring to a girl, but he just thinks, oh, this is a valuable item and it's worth this much amount of money, so why don't you hold on to it, and then when we get to the town, I'll take it away from you and sell it at a pawn shop for the money that I owe you. That's the kind of dumb shit that he does. So
So,
I'm looking forward to this.
So
I
it's-
highly recommend.
So you're saying it's very cringy, kind of like what was that one, Watamote or something like that?
Yeah, not as cringy as that, but there are serious cringe moments as you're watching the uncle do these things and Takafumi, the nephew, going, "Oh no, why did you do that? Oh no, don't! I've got to not make him realize what he did." Yeah, just check
Yeah,
out
by
episode
description.
1.
By description, it sounds kind of good. Like weirdly enough, it reminds me of this episode of Star Trek where like some sort of like space probe comes up to the Enterprise and hijacks Captain Picard's mind. He's knocked out for about 20 minutes, but in those 20 minutes, he lives this completely other life on an alien planet, and he has a wife and kids, and he's like a grandpa by the end of the simulation. Then he wakes up on the Enterprise. It's like I just lived another life, and he has to like acclimate to his life that as it used to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was a great episode. That was, damn it, I used to know the title.
The Inner
Something
Light, I
Light.
think.
Inner Light.
The
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely top 10.
But yep, except just imagine if it was an otaku sent to another world,
Hmm.
not a competent, space Starfleet captain. So highly recommend you check it out. At least the first episode, and you'll know if you like it or not. And yes, the animation is okay, but it's mostly the story and how these characters interact. So
All right, let's go to the next title, which is another show that starts with isekai. How do you say this? Isekai Yakyoku?
Yep.
Parallel world in a pharmacy? Or, sorry, parallel world pharmacy, not in a pharmacy. Two different things there. So, this is another one I've read the manga for, and was really excited to see. Overall, the animation, I would say, is average, but I think
Don't go isekai on us now.
so. I think
We
it's,
lost you for a bit, Tank.
I think it's back. We're back.
You live
yeah.
a lifetime in
This
another
game is
world.
back up.
Yeah.
nice.
But supposedly this guy, he used to be a pharmacist, or not supposedly, it's shown as he was a pharmacist in another world developing a new medications, and due to overwork, he ended up dying. And this boy in another world gets struck by lightning, and now our guy is now within the memories of this little boy, or takes over this little boy's life basically I believe he still shares the memories of the young boy for the most part, but he still gets a little confused on some aspects of it, so he's not all there. But I believe he's 7 years old in this world, and in this world, of course, there's magic, and he just so happens to be born into a family that are doctors or pharmacists in this world as well, and of course they have quite a few play on names here with the main character Falma de Medis, and he's supposedly was given the divine revelation from the pharmacist god in their world, and that's why he's supposedly able to do this when he just knows it's just because he has his memories from his past life. But he's in this story, he's trying to use those abilities and also acclimate into this world to help increase their medical knowledge, of course. But in this world of magic, he realizes that for one thing, nobles are the main group of people that can use magic, And the other thing is that his abilities that he has differ from everyone else's because they tend to only have like certain aspects, like with water or fire and stuff, with their different affinities. But his doesn't follow that logic anymore, where his is more or less like he can conjure up basically anything as long as he knows the elemental make of it, which is going to help him a lot in his creating medicine for the for this new world. So it's kind of interesting because in this world, even though they know of this divine mark that he ends up getting on his arms, which he just says that they're markings from being struck by lightning, everyone sees it as a symbol from God. But for some odd reason, everyone's always afraid of him when they first see it. And it's like, if you think this is from a God, how come you guys are scared? Like, shouldn't you guys be happy that God has bestowed power upon someone or something like that? Which it's my own thoughts, but a lot of people at the beginning are fearing him because of this. So he realizes that he needs to kind of keep it down low and hidden so that other people won't fear him. But he truly wants to help everyone because of his past life, and he has memories of his family members that have suffered due to inadequate medical care at the time, and so he wants to try to improve this world, which he finds is very strange because they use like a lot of weird things to try to solve problems, or even try to find problems, like with looking at star constellations and stuff like that to see and bring up a diagnosis and stuff like that. So they're very like behind the times in medical field. So this show's going to be him bringing this new revelation to this world and teaching them about microbes and all that other stuff, and introducing I guess what you call the kind of like a microscope. So, but of course all of this is, he's 7 years old, so it's going to be an uphill battle with him being this age, but it's been pretty fun, and it's not like I guess he is an overpowered isekai character, but his powers aren't used in this like fantasy battle thing. It's more used to try to make medicine to help others. So it's kind of different in that sense, but I think overall it's just a really good show that I kind of would like to recommend to some people to try to check it out because it's not that bad. What do you think, Vinny?
It's fine, as far as isekai goes. It has that, typical overpoweredness to it, and the protagonist coming to this fantasy world by literally overworking himself to death, which is kind of turning the trope in itself. I like the fact that it's not trying to just cram up that overpoweredness right from get-go, trying to slowly climb it into the new worlds with all this mixed up knowledges and different sets of standard and what have you. But I think it kind of comes up as a bit shallow in some way. I mean, the whole pharmacy in isekai kind of has been touched upon by many other series before. Some kind of takes it a comedy, lighthearted route. This one is sort of trying to saddle in between the seriousness and the lighthearted, and I'm not sure which way he wants to take direction to. I'm a little bit confused by it, because in parts where he's trying to figure out what power he possesses and how to utilize it, he's trying to create all these compounds that he knows all this makeup of, which is neat in itself, and then he tried to create this drug out of thin air, thinking, oh, it's an antiviral drug I gotta create, and he started to shout acyclovir, and like my brain just cringed hearing it. Then I kind of scope at the fact that he's literally creating this drug in a powder form instead of actually creating the compound. because just moments before he was actually emphasizing the fact that he can only create what he knows. And there's a couple of examples. He created like gold and silver, which by itself is what it is correct. But then when you start working on towards this drug compounds, it rarely ever comes out the way it's shown. It's almost like he has a mental image of this antiviral drug that's already mixed with fillers so that it can be ingested and such that you normally see like crushed up tablets. And I'm thinking, I mean, I get that for the sake of simplicity, that you want to go that route so that people understand, oh yeah, you're trying to create these drugs that this world does not have. But then why are you going so technical before as to what you can or cannot do, just to step aside the whole rules that you just created by doing all that, which I did not sit well with me for some reason. Animation quality is fine. I think it's much better than others that I've seen. Isekai in general tends to be pretty crappy. Maybe because there's like 30 series coming out at every season. So I had no issues with animation quality. Some of the characters kind of gets a little too fidgety for its own good, as you said, that about whole lightning scars and everybody's being fearful of this godness and whatnot and all that. But I guess they're trying to interject the whole fear of the unknown, I guess. As far as the series, it's one of those. If you like isekai series wants to take itself a little bit serious than others, then yeah, sure, watch first 2 episodes and you'll figure out whether you want to watch it or not. If you're not very invested in the isekai series, this is another one that just kind of skip over and forgotten, I'll say. I'll keep on watching it because I like the whole pharmacy part of the whole isekai series more so than others. But I still have the mixed feelings over it.
I feel like sci-fi things that have sci-fi elements need to be a little more careful, or not like sci-fi, even just things that are based on like real life technological concepts need to be careful about how they handle that stuff, because like technology moves so fast today that if you're making a show that has fanciful ideas about like drug production and research and chemistry, and meanwhile the whole world's been thinking about like mRNA vaccines and like that kind of stuff, like we're all just immersed in that stuff now, and we're thinking about like mRNA, what can you do with it, like maybe they can cure AIDS, maybe they can cure cancer, and they probably will. And like I kind of had the same problem with the Foundation, or sorry, not the Foundation, but Foundation, which is this big budget sci-fi TV show. Like a friend of mine had me watch a couple episodes of it. It was torture because they're trying to like, it's based on like a sci-fi from like the 1940s, and they're trying to like build the Library of Alexandria and put it on a remote planet so that the world's knowledge could be safe. But it's like we got the internet now. It's like data distributing information across the civilization. This is like not a problem, It's, in fact, we have like the opposite problem where there's just like too much information. So yeah, it's kind of weird that like, I don't know, sci-fi needs to try harder. Like they actually need to immerse themselves in the concepts, in the technological concepts of today, and like make something plausible based on that. So like,
I think the manga explains a little more about his compounding and his abilities better than the anime, so I think that's probably why Vinny's having a hard time accepting what they've shown in the anime, which I think was a very important point within the book. But eventually they're going to change some things, and I think you'll be a little more able to accept some of the stuff that they may try to sell us in this story. So hopefully, if you keep on watching, maybe you'll be able to even out the thing that's bugging you about it. But having read this, I kind of know where it's going and a lot of other things that are going to be changing. Because there's some stuff that happens in here that I found that was really strange in the future that it goes towards. And I'm like, wait, what? I wasn't expecting this kind of thing within this story. So, but overall, I think it's like I said, it's decent. But because I have manga knowledge, I think I'm a little more excited for this. Let's see, what title do we got next? We'll skip girlfriend, Rent a Girlfriend, I think, right? Rent a Girlfriend's not that important. What's this other show? I'm just going to say it's Vermilion and Gold because I don't know how I would say all that other stuff right now.
Yeah, it is a light novel size title for sure.
But this is another, I guess, ecchi, but not as hardcore ecchi as some of the other stuff we've seen.
Yeah, but it's still like pretty ecchi, I guess.
Yeah, they definitely play a lot with the censorship, of like hair in this moe or your foot covering this thing or a book being placed,
Yes,
that
yes,
kind of
definitely.
censorship.
They Austin Powers it.
Yeah, so, or they play with angles, so you only see the backside and you don't see the full thing. So, but this show is about, I guess, students within this magical school. I'm not 100%
Magic
sure.
school.
Yeah.
Get me out of magic school.
So, but I guess the main focus within the school, I guess, has to do with summoning. I wasn't 100% sure on what the whole objective of this whole school was, but I guess summoning was a big part of it because if they didn't summon, the main character couldn't move into the next class, and he was having problems summoning his own
Familiar.
familiar. So everyone else has their familiars, which are all kind of like beasts and different animals. I mean, one person has a dinosaur, and another person has like a rhinoceros beetle or something like that. So they're all over the place. But for some reason, the young boy couldn't summon anything. And after being given the ultimatum that if he can't summon in his next day or so, I believe it was, he would be held back.
Mm-hmm.
So he pits everything into his last summon, and as he's searching for a way to summon, he finds a book that just so happens to fall on his head magically from a bookshelf. And it's a book he's never seen, so as he summons it, he's able to successfully summon from this book, and it just so happens to be a demon. And a very voluptuous demon in that sense. And she also, in order to retrain her presence there, she has to feed off of his mana, and of course that's done by various physical ways, and which, of course, this boy being very naive and very pure, I guess you could say, he has a lot of problems with how strong she comes onto him. But you find out that she's a demon, and we find out also in this world that demons were the biggest thing that caused havoc in this world. So now he has to also keep a secret that she's a demon. So everyone just believes that she's a summoned person, or person that he was just so happened to be summoned that strong. And you also realize that due to his mana being so pure and so concentrated, that all of his previous summons failed because they just couldn't handle his mana. So that's why he was able to summon this demon. And it's one of those also battle type shows, so they battle with their familiars and stuff. And they kind of left us on this cliffhanger, and in the last episode with the latest battle they had. We don't know who's going to win, who's going to lose, but it's very. I think this one I almost would say is more ecchi than Slave Harem so far, just in the content that we've seen. I mean, one girl goes completely nude just so she could try to drink this invisibility potion to sneak into this cave to get this special item. So
Yes.
there's all these ecchi moments going on. So if Slave Harem can't get your rocks, try Vermilion and Gold, which I believe is on High Dive. One of the few titles on High Dive.
Oh, there's only one anime that caters to my fantasies of slave ownership.
What's that?
It's a mystery.
But do you have anything to add, Dragon?
Not really. You kind of like hit all the points basically. I've just been like enjoying it because it's like this. It's just like they have like lots of like funny moments, and it's definitely an anime that you want to avoid if you don't want ecchi scenes, because it's definitely like got ecchi in it. But I mean, obviously you're not gonna see like full on like nudity ecchi, but like it's all like hidden ecchi. So if you don't like ecchi, I'd avoid it. But like it's definitely a really like funny one to enjoy.
Oh, and this is definitely not a show you're watching for the animation, because the backgrounds have this like textured matted thing that looks like it's painted kind of. It's just the backgrounds are just so weird how the animation lies on it and everything, and there's a lot of just weird moments with the camera scenes, and the bodies just don't look right in some things. But
It sounds like a blast from the past. Remember, like 10 years or maybe even 15. I don't how many years ago, but like when Harry Potter was big, and you had a million shows that was like ecchi battle school magic, magic school battle thing. You know, there's like a time before the isekai revolution, I suppose, when like every third anime was that.
about the magic school, but I do remember, what was it? They dubbed it 3Bs, Bus, Butts, and Battles, or something like that. For these short shows.
Yeah, who came up with that? Like Chris?
Maybe. But yeah, I remember those moments. The good old days.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see, there's not much else to say about this unless Vinny has anything to add, but
I got nothing else to add. You covered all the points, including the crappy background.
honestly, the background kind of reminds me of that. What was that show with the Count of Death and the maid? The Duke of Death, I think it was, right? The Duke of Death.
Yeah, it's Duke, not Count.
Yeah, I had to think about that. Yeah, because their backgrounds also had that a strange texture to it on all of them, and this Vermilion Gold also does the exact same thing, just a different texture. Going to the next title is one of my group's favorite, because everyone just feels healed after it. Oh wait, what's it called again? Oh, Kumicho. Let me make this smaller so you can see it better. There you go. Kumicho Musume to Sawa Gakari? Or Sewa Gakari?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting.
Yeah.
So is this like Hinamatsuri if it was wholesome instead of depraved?
It's definitely wholesome. It's not depraved like that.
You know, is that one with the girl in the capsule, right?
Hinamatsuri?
Yeah.
Geez, it was such a whirlwind blur. I can only barely remember it. But I think like some little girl had like telekinetic powers or something, and then there were other little girls who also had telekinetic powers that were coming after her, and then she lives with this yakuza man, like sort of like coerces this yakuza guy to like take care of her, and then I remember there was some running gag of like she likes Ikura bowls.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I remember that now. Yeah, she did. I think
And
she started the season in that capsule because she was captured, and she just appeared in his place, or at least it looked like a capsule. But no, this one's way different. I believe this one's too pure for that, and I don't think. I don't know if I want to say this is a comedy. Because it does have some moments where you chuckle, but it's more you chuckling because of the wholesomeness rather than it being just pure comedy.
Hmm.
So, but it's very, I guess, I kind of want to say healing and also just very relaxed show. This guy, Toru, or I think they call him Kirishima, is known as like the big baddie within this group. I can't remember. They gave him a specific name. I can't remember what it was.
Demon of the Sakuragi family.
Yeah. So he is tasked by his kumicho, or the boss, to take care of his daughter, because I guess he's been too unruly and too aggressive out there. So they kind of want to have him calm down and not get into fights. So they pit him with to take care of his daughter, and her daughter is very closed off to everyone. So it's him, this rough-looking guy, trying to get this little girl to open up to him so that he can help her and take care of her, and him also trying to hold himself back from certain events that may happen around him so that he doesn't become violent again. And it's just, a feel-good anime that's just very wholesome, and especially as she starts opening up to him, and as he starts realizing the changes within him, that this girl's having an effect on his life as well. So it's a nice show to watch after some really heavy anime. And also just maybe something you can just put in the background just to just let it play and just enjoy the moments that it has. What do you guys think, Dragon? I think Dragon and Vinny are the only ones who've seen this.
I just like, I don't know. I just love how wholesome and cute this anime is, and it just like, after like some of like the like other stuff we've seen, like sometimes like this is like definitely one of those like chaser animes to help like lift us up a little bit after like maybe like an anime that went like really heavy. Like if we were watching like 86 again, like this is probably what we would use as a chaser to help lift our moods a bit.
But if you're looking for just laid back and healing type show, I guess this would be a pretty good recommendation. Next up we got, where is it? These titles are all over the place. Kudo something, right?
Kuro no Shokanshi?
Yeah, Shokanshi.
Excellent.
So, the Black Summoner. I have to say, I thought it was going to be okay until I saw a second episode and saw their fight and battle animation. Oh Oh my god! If anything, people need to go watch that battle show. It's so hilarious in how it looks. Is that what made you drop it, Albert, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, so just so Sean understands, this is another isekai show. The guy wakes up with no memory except for the, who he calls the narrator. I think that's what they call her. Anyway, a female voice is like, oh, welcome to the world, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, what the heck just happened? Why can't I remember anything? Turns out during his isekai transfer, he negotiated so that he would have even more points to spend. And as a consequence of that, he didn't have enough points, so he traded in his memory for more points and brought the goddess that isekai'd him along. So this is kind of the wholesome version, I guess, Konosuba introduction. So instead of dragging her, he essentially proposed to the goddess and had her come along. But he can't summon her yet because he's not powerful enough. The typical, he's a little bit overpowered. He decides to hide his abilities based on her recommendation because summoners are super rare. So he pretends he's a green mage. I forget exactly what the green mage does, but and he starts to take on quests at the starter town and so on and so forth. And there is, I think, the first he manages to obtain there, and therefore be able to his slime. And the slime levels up along with him and so on and so forth. So in the second episode, he goes on this quest where another group is known, I guess, kind of known for their backhanded behavior at bullying newbies like himself. So he proposes a competition to go take on this high-ranking task of defeating this. I think they call that Black Knight, some sort of ghost, right? So he gets there, he defeats the bad guys that were trying to bully him, and then goes on to fight the Black Knight, except, he actually realizes it's a powerful undead, so he wants to create a contract so he can summon them, right? And then the guy is actually amicable to talking, and they talk, and during this scene, it kind of shifts over into this weird 2D animation CG style. The color palette changes, the way they look changes, and when they battle it, it looks like a scene from Ni no Kuni, the game. So it has this weird-looking CG composite.
It's like a Ghibli movie.
No. So, it's hard to explain, but from my eyes, it looked like that kind of animation style where it looks very flat. It's clearly all CG, and it does not look good in the show. It was laughably bad. So you can go take a look at that clip and laugh at this. It did not look good, and that was a point at which I'm like, okay, I was just reading the manga. I don't need to watch this. So, and a long-winded answer to your question, Hank, yes, I did drop it because the CG anime battle was awful.
I would have thought so. Because, oh my god, it was so obvious. It was so bad.
I mean, how would you describe it?
Like a cutscene from a PlayStation 2 game, maybe? Back in the day. For some kind of battle. It was just so weird.
Hey, it's a little less jagged than PlayStation 2 though.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Maybe they use Miku Miku dance to make the whole fight scene. Because their movements are just so awkward, and the angles and everything, and the models just were so off. Like it was just too obvious. It was just so bad. And then when they go to still poses, it goes back to normal, which was off-putting because they would be going back and forth. But other than that, yeah, I don't know. With all the other isekais out there, this one, I think it's more or less in the middle. I think it's better than maybe one other title in here. Now that I think about it, what other title is better? I don't know. But
I like that his name is Calvin. I don't know. There's something about that. It's like if you made an isekai and your main character's name was like Jerry or something.
I think
something like delightfully mundane about the name Calvin.
one of the biggest issues a lot of our friends had that are watching this and was just that, you know, he supposedly gave up all of his memories and everything, and I can understand him keeping some common memories, you know, language, stuff like that, but he seemed to have the concept of video games and all these other stuff still, and stats, and so I don't know, like I would thought that he would maybe have lost some of that. And it's kind of funny if you read the Crunchyroll comments too, that a lot of people were making comments about his supposed knowledge, which he was supposed to have lost. So, but other than that, I don't know. I think it's one of those trashy animes. I think that you're going to love it because it's trash or not. But the manga I think was really enjoyable. So, if you want to see more, not be subjected to the animation, there's the manga. The next show, which is I think let me see here, what is it called? Oh, this one. Can you see that in the clouds there? Let me move this down to the building. Recoil? Or, sorry. Yeah, Recoil.
Yes.
So this is another A1 Pictures thing, huh?
Yes. And this one's actually, I like it a lot. It's really fun to me. Let's have Vinny start us off. I haven't heard from Vinny starting us off.
Okay, not gonna comment on the storyline and stuff. I will leave that to Tank. Out of the two A1's picture series they're running, between this and the other one, I think this is more consistent looking. I tend to look at it as a better quality. You know, characters are nice and cute, they're consistent, there's not too many weird off angles to it, graphics effects are nice, characters are likable, even though it's kind of little surreal and what have you. Yes, it's one of those unrealistic series about the girls with the guns and yada yada yada, but I like the fact that when they're not doing that, or trying to unravel the mystery of that's going on since the episode 1. I like this kind of their downtime episodes, which was episode 4 on things like what they do when they're not actively working, but that all started from this weird premises of a certain someone's underwear choice that brought up the whole thing, which I find that kind of hilariously wacky, and it's much needed distraction from having to be fixated on, you know, solving the cases and trying to deal with all this next threat and whatnot. I think a lot of people probably watching it and probably will enjoy it. I say to wait. Probably better looking than most of the series that's going on this season so far. So if nothing else happens, at least there's that. There's plenty of eye candies to look at without leaning towards too much into the fan service-ness to it.
I was looking at an action-packed trailer, and like weirdly enough, it made me think of Under the Dog, which is a strange thing to remember, but hey,
Did you ever
like
watch?
schoolgirls with guns.
Mm.
Me? Yeah, I saw that one episode of Under the Dog.
It's
There's
funny.
only one.
Yeah, I actually backed it and got the DVD or Blu-ray, whatever it was, and I still haven't watched it.
Oh, okay. It's not bad for like a, as far as like a Kickstarter anime short goes. Like it does have moments of presentable action. It's more than you can say than a lot of other ones.
So, I guess, how to explain this? Rikoris are, I think, are what they call the girls within this group that dressed as schoolgirls and roam around the city to prevent certain crimes and help solve big issues while trying to keep everything also undercover so that it seems like this town is has no issues or any problems within it to try to give that sense of safety to all the citizens. And it just so happens that in this show, the main, I think, I kind of want to say Takina is going to be our main focus in this show, is this girl that, because of an action that she ended up deciding upon, gets her removed from the main group of Rikoris and into this kind of like a group for the outcast, where she happens to meet Chisato, which is also a lot of people kind of been hinting at that she's one of the stronger Rikoris members. But as she's within the working in this other group, they happen to have their base located within like this cafe that's very Japanese oriented, and Takina, I guess, is having a hard time in this first part of the show to adapt, and she wants to go back to the main headquarters that she's been striving for. And I guess I don't know how the mindset of all these girls are and why they find this. I think it's because they're brought in as orphans and taught that being in this main group is the height of what she could be. Her being taken out, it hurts her pride a lot, and so she's trying to do everything she can to try to go back into it. While it seems that Chisato's trying to help her relax and to see stuff from another angle and to realize that there's more than just being within the main group and that there's more the city can offer. And we see a lot of that in episode 4, which was the downtime episode, which was really lovely. It was really fun to watch, and it was just a really great episode. But the action scenes within the show are pretty unique and just I also found one other thing. I don't know if anyone noticed, but we were watching this show, and in the ending credits of episode 1, for one of the voice actors, they actually censored the name.
Yeah, because at that point they were just using voice modulator to cover up
Yeah.
that character was a certain gender and age.
So I thought that was kind of cool when I saw that. I was like, oh man, these guys are going all out to keep spoilers, which I thought was really fun because, I hate spoilers. That's why I always skip opening and endings. But I think another thing about this show that a lot of us are loving are the, what do you call them? The eye catch photos within the middle of it, which is really visually really good. But I kind of want to see how far Takina and Chisato can, or how far Chisato could bring Takina to this new life, and if she'll accept it. And of course, we also have this underlying thing with these terrorists that are happening, and so we'll see how that affects their lives. But everything, I think, has just been really fun so far in this show. Does anyone have anything else to add?
And Sean, if you didn't get it, this is like Gunslinger Girls, except it's in Japan, and alternate history Japan, clearly, because gun crimes and terrorist attacks and that's all rampant all over the place, and the girls take care of it by assassinating anyone that would commit a crime. So they get information almost at a precog level about a crime being
Oh, is it
about
like
to
a
happen.
Minority Report kind of? Okay.
Yeah, there's a super AI, I think, at the core of it, and the girls go out and kill them. So like,
Hmm.
oh, they've got silencers, and they just plug the bad guys, and that's that.
I mean, do they
Also,
wait for the crime to be committed, or
well, they apparently they know the perpetrators are going to, because they're clearly about to do something lethal, so they just take care of it.
okay?
Like there's a guy that was about to assault a woman, so they plug him right, from behind, or I forget the exact scene.
Hmm.
So the interesting
Okay.
thing about this show, the reason I picked it was I had heard some buzz about the show. The Sakura, the action scenes were really good, and so I went looking for it. There's A1 Pictures. I'm like, A1 Pictures, they're not exactly known for that. But what caught my eye was the director is Shingo Adachi, and he's mostly known for doing character design work. So he did the character designs for Working and Sword Art Online, and way back when Mega Man. But he's also
Huh.
done episode directing, and this is his first gig as head director, right? Um,
Okay.
and then the story is original, so I always like to kind of support anime originals. And the actual character designer did this. What is it called? この美術部には問題がある, which is this art club has a problem. So that's the actual character designer for that. So it has that very pleasing, rounded look overall. And sure, the Sakura moments hold up. The story is I don't know, is still trying to develop what happens. And Tank, the blue uniformed girls, the average, I guess, the DA agent. One's in the red, like Chisato, and that one girl that you see, the short-haired bob cut girl in red that was at the
Basically,
the gun?
Chitato's partner, right? Old partner.
Yeah, former partner. Yeah, they're the first. They're command level, so they're cream of the crop. And then those in training are kind of wearing the beige colored uniform.
What is the
So
tone of the
anyway,
show? Is it like campy, genre fun kind of action thing?
it's kind of mixed, because the girls' everyday life part, like the kisatan, at the cafe and things like that, seems to be pretty lighthearted. They get together with people and have board game parties, wacky things like that. On the other
Mm-hmm.
hand, there's the entire background plot of one of their customers being a shady former some agent. You're not exactly sure. They haven't gotten into it. They're the master of the cafe also has some history, but was actually at one of these incidents as a sniper. So he's got some chops there, and yeah, it's just tonally it's kind of all over the place, but it's anime. So
Okay. Yeah, when you describe the premise, it sounded kind of dystopian, but I'm like, this doesn't look like Psychopaths, so I'm not going to
No, it's
expect it
not
to be that dire.
Psychopath. It's not Psychopaths, but it does. Yeah, the best way I could describe it, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
But the Sakuga moments are a lot of fun, a lot of fun. So I'm continuing to watch it, but I'm not expecting that much from this movie. Mostly the character interactions. That's it.
Yeah, and then Claris is back, right?
They sang the OP.
I was surprised to see their name back. I was like, oh, I haven't heard them forever.
No, they've been active throughout, but they had another. One of the girls quit, and the new girl name. Then I think they had a base reveal concert like 2 years ago. So anyway, yeah, they sang the OP.
All right. Anyone else have anything to add, or should we go to the next title? If I can find the next title.
Before we skip over Maiden Abyss, what is it even? Is this like the new thing, or is this like a recap?
I think it's a season 2, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
didn't you watch season 1?
I did, but like
Yeah,
nobody's
did you
watching.
watch the movie?
Nobody's watching this one at all. So, yeah, I saw the first
Oh.
season of the movie, and then I decided not to keep up with Maiden Abyss. But I'm just curious as to what this is. So this is the legit second season. Okay.
Yeah, continuing on from the movie, the third movie. You know, the first two movies were compilations. The third movie was the actual story with Bondred, and then this is continuing that on with Nanachi and the whole thing. So, yeah, I just haven't started it. I'm planning on watching it, but I figured this might be just better to binge at some point instead of waiting for episodes.
Okay. Next up, we got Mama Haha no Tsurego ga Moto Kano Datta. My stepmom's daughter is my ex. And I actually wasn't really going to get
My
into the show.
stepmom's. I'm thinking about my stepmom's daughter is my ex. Okay.
Yeah, so at first I wasn't thinking too much of this. I was like, this, I don't think I want to get into this. It's probably going to be another one of those, like, girlfriend, or just a...
So potentially not incest, right?
No. So...
It's not like a half-sister situation? Okay.
No, it's the boy's father remarried, and it just so happens that the woman's daughter just so happened to be his ex-girlfriend in middle school, I believe it was.
Oh, okay.
So, of course, they broke up for certain reasons, and now that they're in high school, the girl has kind of changed her whole outlook or her persona, or her image, I guess you want to say. She reinvented herself because she used to be more or less like a kind of bookworm type of character with the, glasses, braids, and now she's kind of rocking that, what do they call it, the Raiju look, right? The popular kid or the student council class president type of look, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at the poster. She's got that, like, Hime cut or whatever they call it.
Yeah, so...
The straight black hair that's long.
So she's basically reinvented herself, and within this, now that they find out they're going to be siblings, there's this kind of conflict because they used to go out and they want to kind of hide that from their parents because I guess their parents never knew they were a thing, and because they want their parents to be happy, so they kind of make these ground rules where it's we're going to try to act as normal as we can, but we don't want to interfere with each other. But to various things, they also end up having this kind of competition where they're trying to determine who's the younger sibling, because I guess they're both born on the same day. It just so happens that the timings are different, and none of them want to be considered the younger sibling. So they kind of make
Yeah,
this,
it's like built into the Japanese language, isn't it?
yeah. So like they even make jokes like if the earlier twin is considered the younger one, so that makes me older, and she's like, but that's an outdated thing, you know. Now it's I would be considered the older, right? So they're playing with the time things, but they decide to make it into a kind of a competition where they try to act as normal siblings as much as they can within the household, and if any of them acts in a way that a normally sibling wouldn't, they would be then considered the loser would be considered the younger sibling. So they're trying to do all sorts of things to rile each other up to make, you know, the other lose composure and stuff like that. So it's a nice little comedy, rom com. It was funnier, a lot more funnier than I thought it was going to be. So, and I don't know. I don't really have too much expectations on this or what to expect for this. And I believe it was, is it based off of a light novel? Yeah, so it's based off of a light novel, so I don't know, but it's just pretty good for the comedy aspect, and it's not like something that I say would be highly recommended or anything. It's just, I don't know, just one of those shows that I'm like, I have nothing else to do. Let's watch this because it's at least somewhat entertaining. Anyone else have any other opinions about this, or?
It looks. Sorry, go ahead, Dragon.
I was just gonna say that I haven't really been keeping up with this one because I kind of forgot it amongst all the other anime that I've been trying to watch. But I've just been enjoying like some of the like antics of kind of like it's like kind of sibling, but then also it's like just from history of being together from the past, and I just kind of enjoyed their antics from that. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Anything to add, Vinny? Or?
It's very average rom-com series so far. Neither good nor bad. Very average. I'm afraid it's gotta be long forgotten by the next season.
Yeah, I believe it will be forgotten, but I think it's just one of those shows that's enjoyable in the moment, right?
I mean, if you like rom-com, by all means, you'll gobble it up and you'll probably enjoy it. But if you're not a fan of a rom-com, you're not gonna lose anything by just skipping over to something else. That's just it. It's not really memorable in any means or ways or good or bad. It's just very average looking series.
Okay. So let's go on to the next one, which I don't have a title card because I didn't even know what is this, MS Gundam movie?
Yeah, Mobile Gundam. This guy has an insane name. Kukuru's Doan's Island is a feature-length new Gundam film that, from what I've heard, it's based on like in the middle of the show. There's this story arc where main dude, I already forget his name. I'm not a Gundam fanatic. Like a friend of mine is more partial to Gundam, so I watched some Gundam stuff with him. But not Char, but the other guy. So the dopey hero of Mobile Suit Amuro. So he crash lands on an island, and on the island there's some conflict and mystery, and it's more or less self-contained. little adventure. And in the original show, it was like terribly animated, and the the thing that I vaguely remember hearing was that like the director of this new movie, he's a classic Gundam guy, and he was an animator on the original show, but because he was in the hospital or whatever due to overwork, because he's that kind of guy, he was not present during the production of this story arc in the original show, and so the animation looked terrible. And in subsequent releases of Gundam, they disowned this. They like excised it, like it doesn't exist. And so I guess as a way to right the wrongs of history, the director, his name, who I can't remember, so I'm looking it up, Yoshizaku Yasuhiko, who is apparently kind of a controversial figure. He made this like manga retelling of Gundam as Gundam the Origin, and some of that got adapted into this OVA series that I watched, which was actually kind of good because unlike a lot of other Gundam, it's new, it looks good, and if you watch it, it's like comprehensible. Whereas like Gundam Unicorn, it was new and it looked good, but it was not so comprehensible because it had all this like lore baggage in it. But the benefit of this movie is that the hero crash lands on an island. You don't really need to know that much about the Neo Zeon versus the Earth Federation or whatever. You're just like, okay, there are these two warring, mecha wielding powers battling, and then this guy crash lands on an island where he finds this kind of like, it's hard to explain, but the thing that's nice about this movie is that the director is he's not only associated with the old Gundam, but he's also made like from the past, like in terms of its aesthetics, its animation, the first scene where the first character driven scene in the movie, it had me in stitches because the character designs are like so retro and the expressions are so cartoony, and there's something like really fun about that. The story is kind of whatever, like Gundam is so old and retro at this point, it's like kind of hard to take seriously. All of its themes about like how innocence dies in war, and the war turns boys into monsters and blah blah blah. That's kind of old hat at this point, and it's not that affecting in this movie, but the movie mostly sticks to it being cute and retro, and then there's some Gundam stuff that happens at the end when they get into the robots. But I don't know, it's like a 7 out of 10 kind of throwaway popcorn flick. but it's neat that like there's a new movie that's like super retro and it's like feature length. It's not like a Gundam OVA. Like this is straight up. It's like full length, 2 hours long thing. So yeah, and that's kind of the only thing I watched. That's all I got to say about it.
All right. I have no idea about anything about Gundam.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it. I guess something I should add is that like this director is kind of controversial because he's trying to mold Gundam into the thing that he wants it to be, which is different than the thing that it was. So people who have reverence for old Gundam are like, this guy is corrupting it. I've even read a review that's like very critical of this movie, of like how the original TV episodes had these themes and these things in it, and the movie takes that all away and just turns it into popcorn crap. I don't know. Like, I can't tell you what's right and what's wrong when it comes to old Gundam because I never watched it.
Oh, that reminds me.
It's too old.
I think the only Gundam thing I was ever into was Gundam Seed. And I think that's very different from the normal Gundam. But... Oh well. Let's go.
I really liked MS 8th Team, or something like that. 8th MS Team, I think was the name of it.
Yeah.
But it was like it was made in the late '90s, and that was kind of you had the like real robot stuff, the kind of like military otaku centric interpretation of Gundam. That was like the most maximal version of that, where it was about like a Gundam land war in the jungle, and
YouTube keeps on saying that we're losing some moments here and there. Let's see if we can get through the next few titles and we can call it. But I kind of want... We haven't heard from Jessica almost all day.
I haven't watched a whole lot this season.
Oh, wow. Just, what, 3? I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking of Overlord, the 4th?
It's fine. It's pretty much Overlord as it has been the last couple of seasons, so I've been enjoying it. Just saw the first episode only. I don't have too much to say on that one. I'm also reading the light novels.
From what I've seen online, I think we're up to volume 10 within the light novels.
That sounds about right. I'd have to look on my shelf and see what book corresponds to which arc.
I think this one corresponds to volume 13.
Oh, that far ahead.
But I do know...
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
I do know one thing, is that if you want to get through the show without any spoilers, watch it right when it comes out, because so many people are posting, or at least on my feed, spoilers of the show like a few hours after it's out.
Oh, jeez. That's lame.
I was like, thank goodness I watched this already. This would have been like... it would have probably upset me really bad. But
Yeah, you gotta get the spoiler inoculation.
I've been watching, I think it's Annie News. It's a YouTube group that does these overviews of like skip content and stuff and where they are within the light novels, not visual novels. And it's been pretty interesting to see what we've been missing and what's going on within the differences between the two. And for one YouTuber I saw that was talking about it, says that this is going to probably be one of the most boring arcs because it has a lot to do with more or less diplomatical things are going on rather than a lot of action and talks. So I don't know how true that is, but we'll see how it goes. But overall, I think since I've already seen the first 3 seasons, I'm going to just keep on going with this. And it's nice to see Ainz in a new outfit, though. I don't know if there's much more to say to this, because if you're watching it, I think, right? And if you're not, then...
Right. I mean, if you're on season 4 of this show, it's because you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, I know.
And if you're curious, don't start here. You do need to start with season 1.
Yeah. I know, what was it? I think season 2 that a lot of people dropped because of the lizard arc or something like that.
I thought that was season 3.
Which is funny because I really liked the lizard arc. I thought that was interesting.
I didn't like the lizard.
No, why didn't you care for it?
I think, I didn't really care for season 3 as like a whole. It got very hard for me to watch it, and mostly because they were trying to expand out of focus from Ainz, which I thought would have been nice, but it would I understood they were gonna try to do more focus on more broader aspects, like some of the side characters, but I was hoping for more of the side characters that were more established, the twins or Shaltir and Albedo. I thought we were gonna see more of the established side characters, but they kind of just went into the even like further side characters that we really haven't seen too much of. And I just was like, yeah, I'm losing interest in season 3. And it got very hard for me to just try to finish it. And that's why I was very hesitant about Overlord season 4, because I was like, I don't know if they're gonna like kind of go somewhere like season 3 where they're just gonna bring a bunch more just like side characters that we don't know anything about. I'm just like, I don't know if I want to watch. But when I watched the first episode, I was like, okay, it's promising, so I'm gonna continue it. And so I've just been continuing season 4 at this point.
So that was actually season 2.
Oh, it was season 2?
Yeah, because they introduced the lizard. I think they also introduced Tuar, right? The one the butler picks up, the girl.
Mm-hmm.
And a few other characters within that season. Season 3 was the whole people finding about Einzal, or no, what did they call that place? Nazarick. That's it.
Nazarick?
Yeah,
Nazarick.
it's when people find out about Nazarick and start exploring it, and then the war. I think that was season 3. But
I guess I'm confusing them then.
But man, it was so confusing reading the light novel, because it just starts off with that whole lizard arc, and you're like, at first I was like, am I reading the right book? I think it was like volume 3 or something, and I was like, I don't. And as I kept on going forward and forward, it wasn't until a while that they started mentioning stuff about Nazarick and everything, because it just totally throws you to this whole lizard world without you even knowing. But I'm with everything that's happening and all the new stuff I've been learning, I definitely want to go back and start picking up these light novels again and start reading them, because I think I ended around volume 4, and they're so far now. But
Yeah, I'm behind. I have not read volume 14. I think that's the newest one.
yeah,
So I have a little bit of catching up to do.
but not much else to say, I guess, about this, right? I mean,
Not much from me.
Jessica, did you want to talk about Shadow House?
I guess I can briefly talk about it. It's kind of in the same vein as Overlord and Devil is a Part-Timer, in that if you were a fan of the first season of Shadow's House, you're going to be watching season 2. And it's pretty much the nice gothic vibes and aesthetics and stuff that I really like. It's totally my jam. So I would say watch Shadow's House season 1 if you also like gothic mystery and creepy vibes and stuff.
What was your opinion of original Shadow's House? Like, was it good all the way through, or did it have its ups and downs? Like,
I thought that the last few episodes, the last arc, was stretched out a little longer than what was comfortable. So that was my criticism of that. But overall, I did enjoy it. So, yeah, I would say like it if you are into gothic horror at all. But if that's not something you like, then you probably won't enjoy Shadow's House. But just expect the last arc to be a little long, on the long side.
Okay. Albert, did you want to cover Ruby, or do you want to skip that? Or RWBY?
Briefly, it's a retelling. So the thing I was hoping was that it would actually bring the anime aesthetics and kind of improve upon the original story. So, Ruby had kind of a tragic ending in that Montium, the creator, passed away, and then they got taken over by the studio, and then there was a whole controversy about the writing staff and all that, and it kind of goes all over the place. The writing is not the strong point. So I was hoping that in this retelling, they would be able to tighten up the story and bring in, better connections, better foreshadowing, better character development. Unfortunately, after watching the first 3 episodes, it doesn't really. And also, the animation moments you thought would be great, they are just fine. So nothing above and beyond what you would expect it to be. And then I don't really. I mean, I like Saori Hayami, who is a great voice actor. Um, he has had many a great roles, but I just don't think her voice is right for Ruby. And it's really jarring to hear her voice come out of Ruby, who's supposed to, I think, be 14. I forget exactly how old she's supposed to be, but she's supposed to be young and spunky and energetic. And I think there's a huge mismatch. Anyway, after watching 3 episodes, I decided not to continue because it's not bringing anything above and beyond what you would expect normal anime to bring. And I was hoping for a little bit more. That's it.
All right. I'm going to skip down the list and just go to this one here. Yofukashi no Uta. I forget what that's actually changed to. What did they call it? Oh, Call of the Night. It's another high dive title that seems quite a few people are watching. Anyone want to take lead on this, or?
All right, I'll buy.
I can go.
Go ahead.
I'll go for it. No, I'm actually. Hold on a second. There's too much noise in the background. Okay, so I picked this up to watch because there's some buzz about the characters, and once I looked into it, turns out that the original source for this is a manga, and I forget the author's name, but it's the same author that did Yagashi Kashi. Right?
I was about to say,
So-
looking at this trailer, I'm like, wow, this reminds me of that show
knew
about
it.
the candy.
And you would be correct, same as me, right? The whole eye, especially on the girl. So basically, our protagonist, what is his name? I don't remember.
Does
his
it matter?
name. Anyway,
Mr. Audience Surrogate.
he's
Yamori?
not connected with Yamori, right? So he's not really well emotionally connected with the people around him. And so an incident happens at school, he's confessed to, he doesn't know what that really means and can't really give a good answer, yes or no. It's a no, but he ends up making the girl cry. And from there on, his life kind of spirals out. He's picked on by some of the others, and he just decides, this isn't worth it. I'm not going to school. So he's a hikikomori, kind of. But the technical term is futoku, meaning not going to school. And he ends up developing insomnia. And one night he decides, well, this is dumb. I'm just going to leave the house. And apparently he has family, with whom you never see. But he sneaks out in the middle of the night and takes a walk around town and meets this strange girl. And the girl is named Nazuna, and it turns out she's a vampire. But through this entire meeting, she said that, well, just sucking your blood doesn't turn you into a vampire. You actually have to fall in love with a vampire that bites you. And he's like, I don't know what that means. So it's his attempt to become a vampire by trying to fall in love with her. And it's this weird relationship that develops as he tries to navigate these relationships that he has kind of abandoned, but is still around him. And as he tries to also develop new relationships, obviously with a vampire girl, Nasna, and other people that will show up. So, animation, really good. Music, really good. And characters, not the typical high school. It's a little frustrating watching it as an adult because you just want to kind of slap him in the head and say, get on with it. But I understand where he's coming from. And this angsty, tortured soul, right? All of that is interesting enough, so I'm going to continue watching it.
I don't know why.
Wait, so does he go to school or what?
No,
Who are
currently, no.
like I'm trying to form an image of the show in my head. I'm like, so what does he do all day? What happens in the show?
During the day, no idea. Apparently, he's just hanging out at home. But at
Okay.
night, he can't sleep, so he heads out into the town and meets a strange cast of characters eventually. But the first one he meets is the vampire girl. So yeah, that part, it's anime. You don't see his parents, you don't see his family. I don't even know if he has siblings. And none of that is shown. You just see him sneaking out, and then you have flashback scenes of him in school having these problems. That's it.
So, I just want to say, I don't know why, but for some odd reason, watching this whole show, I kind of expected the Shaft head tilt. 'Cause the show reminds me so much of some other Shaft shows I've seen, especially with the lack of other characters and everything. But I can understand it because it being night, but it's been a great show. I especially love their whole interactions with the little walkie-talkies. They're having this little moment playing with each other, and I think I'm watching it just for those small little moments that are just a little playful and just a little fun.
What's an example of a character that he meets, like in the dead of night, out in the city or whatever?
There's just, I guess he meets some drunk people that just sitting on the bench and they're just like all hungover.
Okay.
And he actually crosses paths with them every once in a while, it looks like. But like at first, what's her name, Nazna? Just goes up to them and goes, hey, and then they're all like, hey, and they all high five, and he's like, do you know them? She's like, no. So he runs back, and he wants to do it too. He's like, hey, and then they just puke on him or puke near him. So he has these really awkward moments where he's trying to interact, but we are introduced to one new character in the newest episode. How far that's going to go, I don't know, but if you watch the opening, there seems to be quite a few characters, so I don't know how each one is going to be introduced and what each one's purpose is, but it seems, I don't know, it's entertaining enough and has enough mystery that that keeps me intrigued, that I want to keep on watching it. Even with the lack of plot that I usually enjoy. So, anything else?
I see that there's a new underwear waifus, and you saw some of it, so how's the underwear?
Oh, me?
Yeah, this like luminous wishes thing. How luminous are the wishes?
There's no underwears.
What?
Yeah.
Throw it on the ground.
I was
Literally useless anime.
I was actually kind of surprised with how they changed it, and it's an idol show basically now instead of this battle show.
It's also by
What have they
Shaft.
done?
Yeah. So, yeah, and I was kind of, I don't know how to explain it. I just, it made me laugh though, because she starts singing the song to the melody of like Amazing Grace, I believe. But she's not singing Amazing Grace, so it's just kind of weird. She's
Damn.
sing this song. You got to listen to it. It's kind of interesting. But I think
I'm just thinking about Shaft making an idol show. You know how the mighty have fallen, and that's not even the first time today. I noticed that there was another idol show. We didn't talk about it, but I was just kind of skimming the list. Made by Sons again, which is the studio that made like CG Black Rock Shooter and Bubuki Buranki, and now they're just making idol crap. It's like, man.
idols are popular.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they actually just kind of hinted at why it's called Luminous Witches at this newest episode that just came. I think it just came out today or something, or yesterday. I can't remember what day it is, and why they're calling them Luminous Witches. But of course, the witches is because they have the magical power. But it's kind of changed in a way, because I remember, I think in Strike Witches they didn't have any like familiar or anything like that, right? It was just they called upon the almighty Nekomimi or and
No,
Shippo.
technically, they did have familiars, but it was never a focus. So that's the part of they wear their striker units and use their magic. That's their familiar aspect coming out. That's why certain people have different. Like Shirley has the bunny rabbit because that's her familiar. Her familiar is a rabbit, while Miyafuji's is a cat, I believe. So. But here, in this show, you actually see them physically as a separate entity, not a spirit.
So I guess we were seeing it
I'll
from.
believe it. You tell me about Strike Witches.
So I think so. In the original Strike Witches, we were seeing it from everyone else's perspective, because I think the only other witches can see the familiars, right? So in this show, we're seeing it from the perspective of the Strike Witches, I guess we could say. I can't even find the Luminous Witch title card. I was trying to find that to put it on, but oh well.
What is Saikin Yatota Maid Ga Ayashi? Is this some like ecchi comedy or something?
What is it? Where?
So I remember seeing this Saikin. It's in the S. It's right under Ruby on the list. Because nobody's seen it.
Yeah, it's. I don't think only one episode's come out, and I have no idea where it's streaming. I guess they're saying it's on Crunchyroll, but I haven't seen it there yet. So I think it just barely came out not long ago. But it's called the maid I hired recently is Mysterious. I actually have the first manga, and it's just a shonen, this little boy. Suspects her maid, or suspects his maid, that she's there for dubious reasons, or else why would such a beautiful girl be with him, right, in this mansion all by himself? So he expects that there's something mysterious or something dubious going on, so he constantly keeping an eye on her, and she, of course, notices his gaze and plays with him in a playful manner, but she always becomes, shocked and by his responses and stuff like that. Like, she'll cook him in meals, just like there's got to be something in this meal that you put in there. She's like, it's a secret. And he's like, I knew it. There's no way such a delicious and great meal could ever be made without a secret. And, he just always overplays it, which ends up making her blush and everything. But it's kind of like this older lady playing with this younger boy, but the younger boy always catches him off guard, kind of thing.
Huh.
So I don't know. It's got its fans. I mean, I thought the manga was pretty interesting, and but I haven't seen the anime yet because
I think it appeared on Crunchyroll now because I just checked out Crunchyroll.com and I see episode 1.
oh nice. And but I think yeah, I mean there's not much else to say. What was that movie you guys mentioned that's coming out in August?
Teasing Master Takagi-san, right? Or Kiki's Delivery Service.
I think it's
what?
teasing.
Kiki's Delivery Service.
There's a Studio Ghibli Fest going on where they're playing a Studio Ghibli movie like each month, or like a couple days each month.
Okay.
And for August, it's
so not a new production of Kiki's Delivery Service.
like reshowing a
We're-
bunch of Studio
We're
Ghibli.
making it in CG. Everyone's gonna love it.
There is a stage play of it.
I saw Rurouni Kenshin the stage play. Nothing's gonna top that.
Oh, you need to watch the Prince of Tennis stage play. But I think that's it for today. I'd like to thank you all for joining us, and it's been fun. I wish we could hang out more to discuss more of the animes out there, but we'll see what we can keep and what we discard. My list is actually bigger than I'm expecting, so I'm probably going to drop a few titles.
Mm.
I don't know about that.
I'm going to need a Sean to pick up these titles for me. Seems he has time since he's only watching one show.
No, you can't make me.
Sean's gonna close up anything isekai and go from there and just cut through the red tapes.
Oh, you should watch Extreme Hearts then. That's actually hilarious. I think I only saw the first episode, but it seems stupid funny.
All right, how extreme are these hearts?
It's like this idol girl that
Hyper sports,
Yeah.
which use extreme gear, has become popular hobby. Okay.
Yeah, but the reason she was an idol or a singer, and I guess her sales aren't doing that great. So in order to try to boost her popularity, she's going to do these hyper sports and or the extreme hearts, and I can't remember what they actually call it, but
None of that makes any sense. It's like, what if she was a horse girl and she ran around a track and then she sang a song?
And then
What if they made that?
we also have, I think it just came out recently. What is it called? Danmachi, right? The fourth season.
Yes, season 4.
Which I haven't seen because I think it just came out like a few days ago, maybe.
I think yesterday or something like that. Just recent.
Yeah. And then if you want to watch the show Everyone Hates Mommy, you got Girlfriend or Rent a Girlfriend, right?
Too.
But yeah. Thank you all for
I randomly
watching.
remembered that the Princess Principal movie came out. I don't know how many months ago that is, but that was something on my list. Just because I saw the show, I'm like, I may as well watch a movie too. Maybe it'll have a cool action scene or something.
You should go out there and rent Sword Art Online movie. I think it's out now.
Oh, are you
What
talking
is-
about Progressive?
Isn't it out by now? I swear it should be.
Yeah, the movie came out. Yeah. When is the
believe-
second one coming out?
I
In the
have
theater.
no idea.
Right?
But yeah, everyone, thank you for watching. We're going to be signing off, and check us out again in the future as we cover the ending of the season. If you wish to join us, put a comment, and we'll be sure to check it out and give you a Discord link so that you can join our conversations. They usually post a lot of interesting information about the animes out right now, and also some movies coming out. So, Dragon, I'm going to get you an avatar soon, and everyone else, Pika Pika, Sean.